In A Town Called Showdown, you play as a mysterious stranger who has come to the town of Showdown for a gunslinging competition. The player is represented by this card and by one of these two miniatures. The card has two attributes. One represents the dice called a six-sided shooter. On this there are three different sides: a hit, a special, and a blank side representing a miss. There's also a health token that represents how many hits the gunslinger can take during the shootout. Each turn starts with the gunslinger advancing one spot on the street as the tension mounts, and we head towards the inevitable shootout. Players each have a hand of 5 cards. There are 5 different types of cards. The first is a gunslinger, which can replace the mysterious stranger card as long as the requirements on the top of the card are in play. For example, Kid Kelly here can be put into play because cards with both the hat icon and the gun icon are in play. We replace the mysterious stranger card with Kid Kelly, like so. But you'll notice that Kid Kelly has a higher dice rating. He has a 3 instead of just the 1. So we add 2 extra six-sided shooters to his player's pool. Next we have the bystander card. Bystanders gather alongside the street as the showdown progresses. Each bystander has a different ability. In this case, the dock adds 2 health to the player. Bystander cards are brought into play as the gunslingers advance down the street. The cumulative value of the street determines what value of cards can be put into play. So for example, as we advance the gunslingers down the street is now worth 4. And so cards of a value of 4 or less can be brought into play. Bystanders are essentially the rooting section for each of the players and give different benefits to the player during a shootout. Here we have the blacksmith card, which is a pretty good card because he adds 1 dice to the player's pool. He can be played when the street is worth 5 or higher. Now how do you get odd numbers? Well, there's some characters that raise or lower the value of the street, determining who they are. So for example, we have this drunk who will make the street value worth -1 while he's in play. The third type of card is a modifier card, which improves the gunslinger's character during the gunfight. You can have up to 2 modifiers in play. In this case, we would add 1 dice to our dice pool. Next, we have instant cards, which affect other cards already in play. In this case, we can use the knife card to remove a bystander from play. So if we want to get rid of that -1, we can just use the knife on the drunk. Finally, we have an immediate. Now there's only one kind of immediate, and that's a shootout. When this is drawn, it forces the shootout to immediately happen. Players set down their hands and they pick up their dice. The other way the shootout can happen is when each of the gunslingers reach the shootout on the street. This also triggers a shootout. And to do a shootout, what you do is you pick up your six-sided shooters that you have collected over the game, and you're going to roll them simultaneously with the other player. Now there's one situation that supersedes this, and this is if the player has initiative, such as in this card. The results of the player's roll are determined before the other player's roll. So in this case, I have 2 hits and a special. Now I have a card here, Rosa Zapata, that allows me to re-roll 1 dice using the special. So I spend that special, and I'm going to re-roll one of my misses. And that also gives me a special, so I can re-roll one of mine. And here we go, one more time. Oh, and that's a hit. So I have done 3 hits against the player. Because I have initiative, my results are determined first. Now we look at the player here, and they have 2 health. So I remove this heart from the beer, and the other one from the mysterious stranger, which means I have killed the mysterious stranger and won this shootout. When a player kills another during a shootout, they get a victory star. The player with the most victory stars at the end of 3 shootouts is the winner of the game. Now, normally, if there was another gunslinger in play, I would discard that card. But instead, to reset for the next fight, what we do is we remove the modifier cards from both the opponent as well as mine, because we don't want to give any player an unfair advantage. And also, all the bystanders that have gathered during the game go away, and they're disappointed that the gunfight is now over, so they go back to their respective homes. So they go out of play. But the only thing that stays in play is Kid Kelly, who has won the gunfight, and he retains any health that he has, as well as his dice. So he gets a little bit of an advantage. And we move the gunslinger tokens back to the middle of the street, and we deal each player 5 new cards, and the game begins again.